I took one of those naps this afternoon that whenever you wake up, I felt like I had traveled through another dimension or something. It was pretty amazing, but I was exhausted like whenever I woke up because I felt like I had like time traveled or something. It was a good nap, but it was kind of one of those crazy ones. I don't even remember what I was dreaming about, but it was. I remember that it was significant. Whatever I was doing was really, yeah, it was important. Whatever it was. All right, it's Fireball Friday. Let's get to it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the SavageMine YouTube channel. If this is your first time here and you want to learn more about crypto mining and crypto related projects, you can get an almost daily dose of it just by clicking the subscribe button right now and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. Also follow me on Twitter. It's kind of boring over there right now, but I do keep you updated on what is going on the channel, and sometimes I'll do polls and things like that to keep things moving and maybe even figure out what we are going to be covering on the stream that night and things like that. So, and if we're doing a drinking game, that's probably one right there. And I just figured out another one that I say all the time is things like that. So, so I need to make a list of all these little phrases that we're going to use for a drinking game maybe one day. Let me show you what I am mining. Man, y'all would be drunk right now if we were actually playing that, because I've already hit what, at least 5 of the little phrases that I always say. All right, let's look at what I am mining. I am still mining Raven after the fork and doing pretty well with that. Not too bad. We're going to get into that a little bit more later. I don't really have, I mean, I put together like a few things that I wanted to cover and talk about, but it's just basically going to be kind of winging it, not really like scripted or anything. I'm also mining Rio on the AMD rig and Monero. I haven't changed this rig in a while. It's been mining Rio for quite some time. Both of them were mining Rio and Monero, but after the fork, or at the fork, I decided to change this rig over to Raven. And I would say that's been a pretty good choice, because Raven on this particular rig anyway this is the configuration of it. And I believe it's either 1 or 2. Yeah, okay, so it's 2 as far as profitability. And if I was trading this in today, then I would be doing okay. I mean, and actually, what's weird, what I'm noticing is the rewards, not weird, but the rewards are going up. It was at about 100 yesterday, I believe, and now this rig is 112 per day after power, 119 before, or actually, yeah, this is just like an estimation. So, and this is right on, because if we're going to look at this in a few minutes, how the transactions and the mining and what I've accumulated over the week for Raven coin, so we'll get into that a little bit more. But I just wanted to point this out, that it's actually a pretty good choice. And Zcoin has been at the top too, probably all week as well. So those two are doing pretty well. And then on the shared rigs, we are still mining CCX over here. And let's see here. Yeah, this one I just restarted, so you can see it's still actually coming up. It's just not all the way booted up yet. That's why there's no display or anything. For some reason, if someone out there knows, for some reason on this rig only, after a while, I'm using an XMR stack, 210. I think this one's, yeah, they're both using the same thing, 2-9-1, and after a while, for some reason on this rig, the display here on simple mining will say 0 kilohash per second. Right here where it says C console, it'll say 0. But if I go and do a, view the console, and if I go to the pool and check it out, it's still mining just fine. And I don't know if this is something, maybe a little quirk with or a little glitch with simple mining, or a glitch with the miner. It's probably simple mining if I was to guess, but I don't know for sure. All right, so every now and then I'll reboot it just to get it to display the proper hash rate here. Not a big deal. It's just something I kind of do it. I try to do it before the show so that whenever I go to this screen, you know, it actually has kilohash there instead of 0. But tonight I didn't get to it fast enough, so it's still showing, or actually it's still booting up, because remember, XMR stack takes forever to start up. If you're booting it off of a USB, it takes a really long time because of the whole. It's loading a ton of stuff into memory, I think, something to do with the drivers compiling and stuff like that for AMD GPUs, so it is super slow. Takes about, I think it takes literally 10 minutes. And we're at, let's see where it says, well, it says it booted 2 minutes ago. I don't know how accurate that is. Anyway, so we'll come back to this maybe a little bit later and see that it should say about 13.43. I think is pretty much the most the most common hash rate in there. Okay, I'm just kind of rambling on here. Let me check the chat, see what's going on over there. What's up, J. Bohannon, Cap01? Bitcash is, yeah, J. Bohannon is right on. They forked. There was a lot of problems. It was not. They were forking on Saturday to X16R v2, but the problems that they experienced weren't related to the actual algorithm. It was other problems in some other features that they were implementing at the same time. So don't think that there's something wrong with the algorithm. There's not. It's just, in their case, they were trying to do other things at the same time, and there was a problem with it. Yes, Fireball is always good. Yeah, so Bitcash is CPU only right now, from what I can tell. I haven't looked at it in depth or anything. Once that all happened, I kind of just closed my eyes and went about my business. I hadn't been mining them in a little while, so maybe I should look into it and see. Get people on the right track. That's something I probably could cover. Maybe we'll look at it tonight. You know, you never know. Maybe I'll get to that point and we'll just kind of start investigating it and see what we need to do. But from what I understand, they are CPU only at this point. Still on X16R v2, I believe, but it's CPU only. Yeah, see right here, it says CPU X16R v2, but there's no data. So maybe I don't know. I would have to go and really dig into it to find out what's going on with it. Yeah, it doesn't look good though on this part. You would think that even if it was CPU only, there would still be pools, right? So I don't know. All right, I don't know how they're doing it. So let's go over here to the first thing that I wanted to talk about. VNC server on Simple Miner. I don't think I have it actually set up on Simple Miner because it's not SMOS doesn't boot up into a GUI interface. It is like this, I guess you would consider it the server version, I guess. So you can't really do VNC on Simple Mining, but you can do it on HiveOS because it boots up into the GUI, right? In a way. And you can see that whenever you are looking at the HiveOS screen, you know, you can see down here that it's got some information. And actually, if you were to look, this is not showing everything here. There's actually some other things down here that kind of let you know that you're in somewhat of a GUI configuration. So, yeah, HiveOS you can. although you don't have to, on HiveOS, you could just go into you know, the shell, and it's basically the same thing. But in my case, I'll be honest with you, I got one of them to work on VNC, and it's super slick, and I like it. But it's only the NVIDIA rig, and I don't know why. Whenever I go to the other rig that's on here, that's on HiveOS, same version, same everything, the VNC fails, right? So it's like it says the server rejected the connection or something like that. So I haven't really troubleshot it because it hasn't been an issue, you know, that I really needed to address. But I do not know why on one rig it works fine with the same, and I actually used the same USB and just changed the config file, and it was the same thing, same problem. So I don't know if it's something in HiveOS. Maybe I've got something messed up in the interface here for that rig, and this rig is the one that doesn't work. And I'm not going to go through the settings and stuff because there's some somewhat private info in there. So, but I don't know if maybe there's something in here that I have configured wrong. I don't know. I just haven't really looked at it that much, so it hasn't concerned me enough to really bother with it. But it is nice having at least one that shows up really well like this one does. You know, and this is the Kessel, the NVIDIA rig. It's just nice to be able to show it in a clean environment like that. I like the display and stuff. So, and you can see down here how it boots up into the actual GUI, but it doesn't really show you that on the screen. But I think you can switch to it if you were at the console with a monitor attached. But you can see it here on VNC. And that's the difference. That's one of the difference between HiveOS and Simple Mining. Simple Mining doesn't have this, so it doesn't boot into that GUI, which is why you wouldn't use VNC for it. Yeah, BTBD. It is an AMD rig. This one that works. You know what? Yeah, that's a good point. It might be. Yeah, exactly. So the GUI's not enabled. But so you're saying that your HiveOS BTBD, your HiveOS doesn't allow you to VNC to the rig that has AMD cards as well? I wonder if that's weird. I don't know. It kind of strikes me as weird, but maybe. Okay, yeah, you're kind of explaining it right here. Okay, I see what you mean. AMD cards can run in the command line in Linux, so the GUI's not enabled. Okay, so if okay, that makes sense. That does make sense. So the drivers for an NVIDIA rig in HiveOS are installed in a way that it boots up into the GUI, and if you had AMD cards, then it wouldn't. That makes sense. I mean, I guess. Because what's happening, it sounds like, is HiveOS is making a decision for you, like, hey, because this is an AMD only rig, I'm just going to load the minimal required to get this thing up and running, and during that time, it's not enabling the GUI interface, which is what you need in order to use VNC. Now that makes sense. Thanks a lot, BTBD. That's good info, man. All right. So let's look at, I've just got a few things I wanted to kind of talk about. Actually, you know what? I'm jumping ahead here. I'm kind of jumping around. I'm on my third Fireball tea drink here. Fireball and tea. Third one of these. And just to prove, got it right here. Haven't drank that much this week. Hopefully, maybe Fireball will throw me some, what is that called? Sponsorship. I don't know. Maybe they'll send me a case free or something. I can do a giveaway or something. That would be super cool. Not likely though. All right, so let's get into this. I want to actually cover some stuff on the market real quick. Go to heat map. Doesn't look that bad. A little bit of green, but BTC's been hanging around that 8100, 80 to 8400 range for quite some time. Not a whole lot. I like that they've added the dominance down here at the bottom. I don't remember seeing that before, so that's kind of cool, because that's an important number if you're not familiar with it, because you know you're not really going to see any type of an alt season without some really crazy stuff happening. You will not see an alt season until that dominance starts dropping quite a bit, because basically what it's saying is most of the money, 67%, most of the value is in BTC right now. And whenever you have alt seasons and things start pumping, like the altcoins start pumping, normally that dominance drops pretty drastically. In fact, it spent the majority, I think it spent the majority of 2018 at around 50%. If I remember right, it was almost the whole year was right at 50%, which is not necessarily a good thing. I believe that real alt seasons, if there is going to be one, it'll probably pull back to around 40%, and then a lot of money starts going into, a lot of value starts going into the alts at that point. Not at that point, but to that point, right? So, like for example, if it went from 67 to 66, you would probably see some of the alts going up in value a little bit, right? Because the money's moving around. Some people take it out, that's true, you know, so you can't really say that it's not a one-to-one ratio or anything like that. But if this starts dropping, you know, 65%, 64%, 63% each day, like let's say it drops 1% each day, then you're going to start seeing some things happening with alts for sure. But whenever it's going up, that's not a good sign for alts. And if it hit 70 or 75% or 80, you would see a lot of the alts completely disappear. All right, so let's look at the coin market cap. I know everybody loves this. Let's go through my top 10 real quick. We got CCX at the top. We're going to talk a little bit about CCX tonight. Down just a little bit, 13 cents or almost 14 cents. Let's look at Raven. I'm interested because I haven't preloaded anything. I haven't looked at this basically all day, so I want to see what's going on. Okay, so up 3%. Lots and lots of volume. I'm a little bit surprised about this. I was thinking that by now it's only 5 days or 4 days after the fork, so we got to give this some time before we start seeing, because the ASIC farms are probably, I haven't noticed, but I'm sure that they're probably still dumping on the market, and probably holding this 3-cent value here, most likely. So, you know, what's going to happen, we're going to talk about this too in a little bit. I think I'm going to talk about maybe the top 4 projects, and just kind of cover some things that are going on with those top 4, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. But I think that, you know, GPU miners for the most part, especially hobby miners that have 1 or 2 rigs, 3 or 4 rigs, whatever, at home or at the office or whatever, and they're mining Raven coin now, they're not going to just dump on the market, right? So hopefully there'll be a little bit more scarcity of available Raven, and the value will go up, you know, that whole supply and demand thing. So I would say if this doesn't move in the next month, I would be really surprised. If it stays right around 3 cents for a whole other month, I would be really surprised about that. And none of this is financial advice or anything like that. I'm just a dude on the internet talking about nonsense. All right, so swap. Swap is getting hurt. But whenever you're only at 6 cents, 12% isn't really that much. We are going to talk a little bit about swap, so we will get into that as well, what's going on with them. They have been quiet. You know, I follow them as closely as I can. You know, not being a developer, not being on the inner circle or anything like that, I do follow them, and I have noticed them being a little bit quiet lately, but that usually just means that they're busy working. You know, that's usually the case. And sometimes, you know, you have with projects like this, and this is just reality, guys. This is just me talking, but with projects like that are smaller, that have a few developers, you know, let's say they have 4 developers or maybe even 1 developer, then there are a ton of things that can affect the overall development of the project, right? You're not talking about $1 million business or a $5 million business. You're talking about a dude or a small group of people, you know, guys and gals that are working on a project, and at any time something could happen that could affect the output of the development, right? And what I mean is, think of it on a personal level. Like, something could happen in those personal lives that could actually affect what's going on in the project itself. Let's say one person is dedicated to working on mobile wallet, for example. I'm just going off the top of my head. So one person is working on the mobile wallet, then something happens in their family or something happens in their personal life, you know, that is devastating in some way, and it's going to take them out. Well, that's going to potentially delay the release of that mobile wallet, right? And, you know, you've got the investors or the people that are supporting the project, they're looking at it and they're like, what's going on with this project? You know, I mean, I follow them really close, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening with Swap. It just triggered me to start talking about this. Not that kind of trigger. You know what I mean? It prompted me to put this out there. So it's important. My point is that it's important to, especially whenever you're looking at a small market cap project. You know, this is a good example, although I'm not talking about Swap at this point specifically, but, you know, they are less than 500,000 market cap. They have a lot of volume, but I'm not too sure about that volume, because a lot of it is on Geekhex or whatever. So there might be some of that not illegal, that's a bad word. You understand what I'm saying? Some of the wash trading and stuff that goes on in some of those exchanges. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, but it seems odd that one exchange has so much volume. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, so you can have things that happen in personal lives that affect the project. So what I was going to say was, it's important whenever you're looking at, especially spec mining, and you're looking at these smaller projects that are definitely not in the top 100 or top 50 on CoinMarketCap. You're looking at one, like in this case in Swap, it's over 1,000 rank, you know, as far as market cap goes. So things can happen that affect the project, you know, and there's been cases where, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's been cases where something would happen to the one developer, or the two, you know, one of the 2 developers, and the project basically folds and doesn't go anywhere from that point, you know. So actually there was one. It was one that had a cat. It was a cat logo. BIP? Was it Bitcoin? I think that's it. Bitcoin. I believe that's the one that I'm thinking of, that was basically one person, and they're not listed there anymore. Let's see if they're on. I doubt they're anywhere. Let's see. Coin. Calc. I'm pretty sure that this project is completely dead. Yeah. I want to say it was Bitcoin. We can Google it probably. Yeah. Like, this is just an absolutely perfect example. Now, I don't know who mined Bitcoin or who invested in it. I don't know. It literally says shitcoin up here, you know, which is fine. It's not necessarily a derogatory term or anything. But, you know, the developer is talking about his health. You know, he turned it over to some other devs, so on and so forth, you know. And so you can read about it here. But point is that, you know, with small projects, you have to be careful, you know, because stuff like that can happen. Small market cap, very small development teams, You know, it's just something that you have to take into consideration whenever you're looking at investing or mining a project, you know, and supporting them with your hash power and stuff. It's just definitely something you gotta look at. And I am totally just ranting right now, but it's good for me to get that out there because I think it's important. All right. Again, though, I was not talking about swap. Swap does not have that problem. It just reminded me to say something about that. All right. Let's look at Rio. They are still under 2 cents and down just a tad today. And this is a super small market cap and super low volume. But man, I'm telling you, this project, I don't know. It was so funny. A little bit of history of this. I don't know if anybody is, you know, I don't know who all's in here. I'm not really interacting with the chat too much right now. No, I'm not triggered. Okay. Let's see. All right. So Rio, for the longest time, I was getting pinged on it, about it from viewers and followers and stuff like that. Like, hey, you really need to check out Rio, blah, blah, blah. And I had done it a while back, like months and months and months ago, maybe even last year. And whenever I first started looking at it, there was that little bit of controversy between, you know, the devs and not the devs within the project, but there was just some stuff going on that I don't necessarily like, right? I don't like the drama part of it. I would rather there be a different focus, a focus on development, a focus on solving a problem. That's what I like to see. And what I was seeing was mostly drama, and I don't like that. And it kind of turned me off. And so time went on and people kept pinging on me about it, about looking into them. So I finally did, and I was really surprised. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome, right? So this is one of my, now it has literally turned into one of my top 3 or 4, I think. I don't know where they actually fell on my list. My top 10 list isn't really like in order, but it's close. But they're definitely up there at the top. Actually, they're number 4, yeah. So that is super cool. Great project. I cannot believe that the market cap is so low. They have so much going on, and just really, really solid team, really solid development going on. This is definitely, in my opinion, just getting ready to explode. I don't know how long it'll be, but it just seems like this one is one that is boiling up, so they say. I don't know. Really keeping my eye on this one for sure. Rio, solid project. All right. Let's look at Loki, another really good one. They're down a little bit. I mean, pretty much everything's down. Not down, but kind of even. There's not like any real super, big moves today. So everything is, sticking around pretty boring, right? So this is considered a boring market. 3% for a crypto is nothing. So pretty boring. All right, let's look at Zelle. Haven't looked at them in a while. Let's see what's going on. Down a little bit. So they've got pretty good market cap, really good volume. I think their volume, if I remember right, is pretty well distributed. Yeah, see, they're pretty well distributed. A lot on MXC, but looks like, that's ETH to Zelle. I mean, this kind of makes me think that that money's coming in because of the pairing here. I don't know exactly how that works, but yeah, looking good. And they're actually on trade over too. All right. So this, if you're interested in Zelle, I've covered them quite a bit. I got a lot of videos on talked about Zelle nodes and stuff. This would mean that Zelle nodes are at a pretty decent price right now, value to to put enough in there to get a node. This is pretty good value in my opinion here. If you were looking to get a Zelle node and you were waiting on a good entry point, I don't know. Right here is not looking too bad, because I mean, if you look at the chart, let's zoom this up a little bit here. Now, I'm not TA, I don't do that kind of stuff, but I would say, yeah, I would say that this is not looking bad. Knowing what I know about the project and on the development side and what these guys are working on, guys and gals are working on, yeah, this is definitely a yeah, you know, if I was giving financial advice, I would say this is a pretty good entry point, but I don't know. Need to have Crypto Wendio or something look at this chart and see what she says, but there's definitely a huge amount of volume. I don't know if maybe the volume, I mean, the volume here was, yeah, wow, it just jumps up like crazy right around in there. I don't know what happened there. I was gonna say that maybe they weren't calculating it, but there are bumps in here, so something happened right here, August, that just created a lot of volume. Maybe, you know what it was? That was probably an exchange listing. If we were to look at the history of exchanges, it's probably one of these. Probably MXC. I don't know how long they've been on there, but all right. So getting off topic a little bit here. Let's look at Veil. Veil's up a little bit. That looks good. Nice little bump there at the end. Another privacy coin. I have a lot of privacy coins, so I live on the edge because privacy coins are like those ones that are like, you know, exchanges don't necessarily like them that much, and governments definitely don't like them. So it's kind of funny, you know, that it's definitely living on the edge of crypto whenever you're involved in a lot of privacy coins, because anything could happen at any moment with those things. But what's funny is it's just like anything else. Like, did you guys see the, real quick, not to get too off topic here, but you know, they banned in, what was it, in, where are they having the protests in China? Is it Hong Kong? Wherever they're having the protests. I'm really bad with like geography and names, awful with that stuff. So anyway, wherever they're having those protests in Asia, China, they banned masks, face masks, like you couldn't cover your face anymore. Now everybody has a mask, right? I love that kind of stuff, because the more that you push back, you know, the more that a government pushes back on their population, their citizens, if they're smart, the citizens do like the opposite, right? So in the case of privacy coins, you're going to see the same thing. I think you'll see the same thing. If there's some type of weird ban that comes out, good luck, because that's just going to make everybody just go to them. So just my opinion there. All right. Arrow was my number 8, but it is not on CoinMarketCap yet. They actually have quite a bit going on. I probably should do an update video on them, and I probably will. So I'll see if I can put something together for that. And then number 9 is Bitcash. Down a little bit, and we talked about this a little bit at the top. They are probably struggling a little bit now because of the fork debacle, but you know, hopefully they get it worked out, because this is another great project, man. They're so focused on you know, user interface, and I've done videos on them, and again, I need to remind you guys again real quick here, none of my videos are sponsored. Like, everything I talk about is just me talking about it. In the case of CCX, I got a bounty one time, a small bounty for doing lots of videos on them, you know, and it was just the devs going, hey man, thanks, you know, here. So that was the only thing that happened there. It wasn't a lot, it was just a little bit, but it was greatly appreciated. I'm not saying that it wasn't anything, but none of my videos are sponsored. I just press go live and start chatting about stuff, and that's all this show is about. But in the case of Bitcash, solid project in my opinion. I like them. I like what they're trying to do. You know, basically bring banking functions to the blockchain and make things, user interfaces great. Again, I've done many videos on, not many, but quite a few on Bitcash. I don't know if I have a playlist for them or not. I think I do. Yep, I do. So, got a playlist here. So I got quite a few videos on them. Just, I don't know, in my opinion, solid project. I love what they're doing. Maybe they need more developers. Maybe they need a little bit of, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they need. I'm not that smart, but maybe it's a little bit on the marketing side. I don't know. It seems like all the little things that they've got going on, it seems like they would be a lot more popular than they are. So, don't know for sure what's going on with them, but hopefully they get it together. And then last, and definitely not least, is AION. AION's got a lot going on too. They have the Unity consensus coming out soon. I think it's, man, I want to say it's this month, maybe next month. And that's where they're going to have staking alongside of proof of work mining. Doesn't sound great for GPU miners, but the way that they're doing it, it's a hybrid model where you're basically, some of the blocks are going to be staked and some of the blocks are going to be proof of work mined. So it is actually going to work out, it hopefully will work out where the rewards for mining might actually go up a little bit. So keep that in mind. And oh, that's another drinking game phrase. Keep that in mind. I think that's one of them. I need to write all these down so that we can actually do it sometime. I talked about it last night on the stream. It was kind of funny. All right, so that is the top 10 real quick. And we are going to talk about, first, let's talk a little bit about the consensus for CCX, because I kind of messed up some things in here. I was pointing it out in a way on the live stream whenever we did this live stream on consensus on this particular one. I think it was right here, Conceal project update and consensus. I was talking about it, but I wasn't being really super clear on what they were actually going to work on, because I think in my subconscious or maybe even my conscious mind, I was thinking that they were going to work on all this stuff. They're not. What they're going to work on is basically the top 6. And I did identify that. It ended up being the deposits revamp was number 1, which is B right here, which that makes sense because I've seen a lot of talk about that, and I've seen a lot of conversations in Discord and stuff about it. I knew that was going to be one of the most, worked on or most requested or most voted on features. And if you're not familiar, I talked about it on that show, but if you're not familiar, they're in the Conceal wallet, and they have cold staking, so you can basically lock up a portion or all of your CCX for different time frames. And they had 2 different ways of doing it that would earn you different levels of percentage based on the time, right? So if you lock up for 3 months or whatever, you had a different percentage than if you were to lock up for a year. And then they had 2 different methods. They had what was it? Deposits and investments. So it's a little bit confusing, but deposits, you could deposit for as low as 1 CCX to the maximum of however many you wanted. And then that was based on weeks, I believe. So it was 1 week to 52 weeks, up to a year, right? And then the other option was investments, and that required a minimum of 50,000 CCX, which is quite a lot. That's quite a lot of money. It's what does that come out to? Right now, that's $15,000, I think. Something like that. I think that's right. Maybe I can bring up a calculator and figure that out. They're at about 30 cents times 50. I did go to school and everything, but hey, I got it right. So yeah, it's like $15,000 USD value. And I hate, again, if you watch my channel, I hate doing the whole comparison to USD. I think it's almost silly, but it's how people think, right? I like to think of crypto as crypto, and one CCX is one CCX, period. But I understand the importance at this point in this stage of the game to compare it to something of other value that you use on a daily basis, like USD in my case, or your fiat currency for your country. But anyway, let's see, where was I? So 50,000 would take 15,000 USD at this point, and that's a lot. So it basically, in the overall scheme of things, that kind of separated out whales from CCX whales from lowly poor people. So long story short, they're going to revamp that and combine them in some way, merge them, and I do not know if that means that what is there now is going to transfer into this new system, or if it's going to be like grandfathered in, or I don't know how it's going to work, because I've got coins locked up for quite a while, so I don't know how that's going to work. But I'm sure that they're going to. This is just stuff that Consensus just ended, so they're evaluating. The dev team is evaluating all this, and they're going to figure out the way ahead and what they're going to work on. I'm sure they'll probably put out announcements on Discord and Twitter and stuff like that. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open for that. The second one was the private browser, and that's right down here. It's something. This was the second most voted on. So it was voted on. It's got 58 down there. Private browser. I think it's a cool idea, but I don't know if I would want devs to really focus on that. I think that there are other capabilities of CCX that I would like to see worked on. I don't know, unless they could quickly come up with a kind of a prototype, and like, this is what it would actually look like, and this is how it would operate, and this is like a speed estimation and things like that, and how it would actually look and work, and all those little details. If they could come up with something like that pretty quickly, then maybe, and if it's not too much work, right? Because I wouldn't want to see, in my opinion, I would not want to see the private browser take a lot of dev time. I just wouldn't. I think there's other things that are more important, but that's just me. The third one was dedicated messenger app. I think that's kind of cool. Another thing that is pretty cool is a messenger app and a dedicated app, not within the wallet, which is kind of strange for CCX, because at this point everything's through the wallet, both mobile and desktop and web, or cloud they call it. So making another app outside of that is probably a pretty good challenge. I think it would be neat. It would probably be extremely, it's going to be one of those encrypted private messengers, peer-to-peer, all that stuff. I think it would be neat. Whether or not you could get, the thing I would worry about is it's something that has already been done, right, with other projects. And I love CCX, you guys know I do, but I would hate to see them do something that has already been done several times over. But maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe I'm just missing the point. I do like the fact that they're talking about integrating CCX payments in the Messenger so that you could send CCX with Messenger. I think that's kind of cool. And the CCX ID, where it's something that is not your address, but you have like an alias, to go back and forth and communicate. Maybe it's a good thing. I think that the side chains is important, and that's the next one. That one had 50 votes. I think that's down here somewhere. No, it's actually right here. Okay, so it's actually in the midterm. So I think that is super important, and I think that something else that they might want to look at is basically like a stable coin. And there are projects that are already doing this. Bitcash is one of them, where they have, and I don't, look, you know, I'm not a developer, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it, and I don't know if it's working, you know, the way it's supposed to or not. I'm not going to say that it is or isn't, but we have, you know, I've talked about this before, we have a problem in crypto being volatile, right? It's a good thing for trading, it's a bad thing for using it, right? Or accepting it as a business. And I really think that it would be important to be able to, you know, have a mint and burn. There's other projects that are working on this too, like Haven. You've got Bitcash and Haven. Those are the two that come to mind. Bitcash already has it implemented. It's already there. I think it's important. It just depends on where the project wants to go, whether or not they want to, you know, be accepted as far as a normal currency, and I think that is one of their goals. I think that they're going to have to make it to where you can lock up value and not be so volatile, my opinion. Okay, but the sidechain will also allow other assets, smart contracts. Something I think is super important is atomic swaps. I think that's awesome. I think that's a huge thing that will help adoption for sure. And then some other things that they got going on there. So voting and distributed apps, all good. Or decentralized apps, all good ideas there. And then the fifth one with 42 votes was the fiat gateway. That's cool. You know, that way you don't have to go out to, you know, you don't have to have some other method to get your fiat turned into CCX. I don't know how the solution, I don't know how they'll do it on the technical side, but that would be kind of cool. I would imagine that it would be something maybe coming from, I don't even know. I don't know how they would do it. I need to ask them, like, how would that actually work? It's like other, you know, you would have, but the problem, I think the problem with a fiat gateway is going to be, depending on how they are intending on implementing it, you know, I think of like Coinbase or some other thing like that has, you know, where you can transfer from your bank account, but that is probably, you know, you would have KYC at that point, and I don't think that CCX is ever going to go that route because they're a privacy fund. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research on that. And then the sixth one with 36 votes was DEX, and that's down here at the bottom. Distributed exchange, decentralized exchange. I mean, that would be cool, I guess. Maybe focus on privacy coins. That might be kind of neat. Kind of like a trade over, but decentralized. I don't know. I don't know. We would see. Kind of neat. So I wanted to clear that up because whenever I put this up here, I was saying that they were working on this other stuff. I think I might have mentioned that they were working on other stuff too. Like this was the list of things that they were going to work on. But all this is just a list of the votes and how it pans out, you know, and they're going to work on basically the top 6, or they're going to try. They're going to discuss the top 6, figure it out, you know, the way ahead, and probably update the roadmap and other things as they go. So, but this is stuff that I like to see. I mean, this was a community consensus. It was the community putting in, you know, their comments and, you know, voting. I think it's great. All right, good project. So what is next for CCX? They are going to work on these 6 things. I think that's probably it. I would like to see the deposits revamp happen pretty quickly. I think that's cool. I do believe that they've got some other updates coming out soon with the wallet. I had my wallet up and I closed it. Oh, you know what? I do need to clear that up. Let's go. Let me launch my wallet real quick here. And this is something I believe I was talking about this on that video, and I kind of got a little bit mixed up a little, just a tad. Okay, so on the new settings page, used to whenever you would click settings, it would just have a little drop down here, and there was just a few options, you know, optimize wallet. That's one of the things that they've really worked on is optimization, and I talked about that a lot on that one video, so check that video out if you're interested in that. They've got, you know, auto optimization here, but what I was messing up was right here. So close to tray, I was reading this as enabled with a D. In my mind, that's what I was thinking. So what I was doing was I was minimizing or closing it, right? Actually, I was closing it by hitting the X, and it was actually closing the wallet, and I was like, well, that's kind of weird, because I thought that close to tray was enabled, right? But I didn't realize that you have to click it to enable it, right? So if it says disable, then it's enabled at that point. So now if I click the X, it should just go down and be minimizing the tray. Not minimizing the tray, but in the close to tray. Okay, so if I close it, right, so now it's just going to show up down here in the, what's that, the notification area. I think on Windows 10 it's like the little up arrow, depending on how you have it set up. So it did do that. So whenever I hit the X and I hit the little up arrow on my notification area, there's a little C there for conceal, a little logo. And then if I click on that, it brings it back up. Okay, so it doesn't actually close it. But if you click it again and it says enable here, then whenever you actually hit the X, it's going to close the wallet. And the same thing for minimize to tray. So if I go close it now, you see now it's going to close the wallet. So just want to clear that up. I was just mistaken in the video there. So hopefully that makes sense. So let's look at, let me launch my Raven wallet. That's enough about CCX. I could talk all day about CCX. You guys know that. It's one of my favorite. I'm just launching my Raven wallet here, because that's what we're going to talk about next. Let me check the chat while we're waiting on that. What are you guys talking about over here? I'm not really doing shots, Crypto Jason. I'm doing, I'm drinking Fireball and sweet tea mixed. And while I'm waiting on this, I'm actually taking a drink. Here's proof. And if I've said this before, if you like sweet tea and you like Fireball, mix them and you'll be like, wow, this is like the greatest drink ever. It's really good. All right, so I've been mining Raven, and this is my Raven wallet, my mining wallet. Probably need to move these out of there. This is getting pretty good little value there, so I probably need to get them off of here. But nonetheless, let's look at transactions. Let me see what my notes say over here that I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so after the fork, which was Monday at noon Eastern time, if we go to transactions here, you can look down here, and if you were to total these up, it would basically match what to mine says I should earn with that particular rig. So if you, I mean, I could export it and add it up and stuff, but I can tell you that compared to previous earnings, let's go all the way back to, yeah, like look at this range right here, and this is whenever the ASICs probably started coming online. You can see that the daily earnings was pretty pitiful, right? Were pretty pitiful. Yeah, not great. So now, pretty decent numbers. You know, if you just at a glance, pretty decent numbers, and it looks like it's about every 3 hours that I'm getting a payout. That's probably just the way the pool's set up, but it's not bad. This doesn't look bad to me. So that's where we're at with that. Let's look at the hash rate for Ravencoin now. We talked about this a lot. You know, I did several videos on Ravencoin, you know, preparing for it, the fork. I did what you should know here. There were quite a few, and in those videos we made, whoa, sorry about that. In those videos we made some predictions about where the hash rate would probably end up. And I'm pretty sure that I was saying it was around in this area right here. I want to say I was saying 6 to 7 or 6 to 8. I can't remember. I changed it a little bit, but I was always around in the 5 to 8, I think, range, something like that. So it's kind of cool to see it literally drop right down into that spot. You know, this was a crazy drop, because as it got closer to the fork time, they were really ramping up. It hit 27.5 right before the fork. Like on that day, it was 27.5, highest ever, I believe. And then boom, off a cliff. And it actually, this is only showing 2.95, which, what does that come out to? That's a 90% drop. Is that right? At least 80, right? 85%, something like that. So on miningpoolstats.stream, it actually showed less than 1 terahash. It was showing like 0.98 or something like that, 0.99. And I thought that was really cool. And that was actually on the stream. I streamed the fork live, and it was in there where we were looking at it, and it was actually below 1 terahash right after the fork, which was super cool to see that. So it is going to pop up a little bit, you know, like right here, this range right here was probably people going, oh, the fork happened and it was really good and it went off without a problem. So let's turn my rig back on Raven, you know, and that's pretty much what you're probably seeing here. So I think it's pretty much stabled out now around 7, right? So 7.5, something like that. And this is all on average, you know, it's not perfect. And it varies all the time, so really cool though. As far as difficulty goes, which is important with earnings and whatnot, you can see difficulty dropped a lot as well, which was expected. It went from 369 to 41, huge drop. Now it's increasing a little bit, okay, but it is leveled out. So this is a good thing, right? Because on what to mine, if you go over there and look for my rig, this Kessel rig, number 2, and it's actually above $1 a day after power, which is I haven't seen that in quite some time. I mean, I want to say that just last week before that fork, everything was down in the 80s and maybe a 90s for this particular rig. I know I have kind of dated equipment here. I mean, let's say I decided to build a 6 GPU rig of 1660s. Let's see what that would do. I mean, it's not that much more, probably 54, but the power was a lot less. So let's go with some TIs here. Let's say a 6 GPU rig of TIs. Yeah, not bad. Number 1. So, I mean, that's technically, that's profitable, technically, but you're looking at, you know, if you could get a TI for 300, which I think that's about probably the average, you know, just for easy numbers here. So 300 for a 1660 Ti, 6 of them, that's 1800 plus accessory, you know, your motherboard, processor, and all that. Add a couple hundred for that. So you're at 2,000. So 2,000, and you're making $45 a month, right, after power. So do the math on that. Let's say the rig costs 2,000. I'll do the calculator real quick. Rig costs 2,000 divided by 45. 44 months to break even. So 3.7 years just to break even on that rig. And that's with what we consider at this point to be good profit. Awful, right? Okay, I think I did my math right. That sounds about right. You know, the days of, you know, breaking even in, you know, 2 months or whatever it was back in the day. I don't see that happening anymore. But I was thinking about this a lot today. You know, a lot of that was driven by Ethereum, obviously. You know, most people were mining Ethereum, and it was, you know, very profitable. And I mean, I would like to see maybe there's something in the works. Maybe some project will spring up like Ethereum, right? Like Ethereum did, and make things super profitable again. You know, I mean, it's possible. I don't know what it would be at this point. I mean, I'm looking at, you know, the top 100, and I don't see anything that's really going to do that. But I hope I'm wrong. I know I sometimes sound like a Debbie Downer, but especially lately. But it's kind of hard to stay, you know, really super positive whenever you see stuff like this. It's frustrating, you know. So definitely don't want to be a Debbie Downer, though. I think I'm hoping that I'm wrong, and that we could actually get back to $10 a day, you know, per rig and stuff. It would be great, but I just don't know. I don't know what it would take to make that happen. I think it would be a project that's not on this list at this point, but I don't know. Could be wrong. All right, I hope I am wrong. So let's look at, that was the difficulty. All right, another thing that happened with Raven, a little bit more Raven news. And I have to give a shout out to Cryptoshi Forever. He tweeted about this possible fake GitHub for Ravencoin. And if you were to go to GitHub, the one that is correct, and you can't see that, let me bring this down. So the one that's correct is Raven Project without an S right here. And then, you know, the rest of the stuff here. Let me show you. So this one looks different. Let me see here. So if you look at how this one looks, you know, there's some significant differences to this. Just by default, obviously, there's probably like some views and things like that you can change, but this is the correct one, Raven Project. And if you look up here, it says Raven Project without an S, right? The fake one, and we don't know at this point. I don't believe that we know for sure if it's legit or not. It seems like it's fake, but well, I mean, it's definitely not the original. It's not the correct project for Ravencoin, or the correct GitHub for Ravencoin itself. But it's not that hard to figure this out, guys. If you just take a moment and just slow down and look at what you are looking at, and really look at it. 9 hours ago, they joined. They have 1 day of contributions in the last year. I couldn't get to the repository. I don't know if maybe it's like locked or something. Let's see here. Oh, so you can get to it, but I don't think, I was trying to find like where you would download a wallet, but I did not see it. I did not see it in here. Anyway, so Raven Projects is not the correct one. And again, if you just slow down and think about what you're doing, you can tell that very easily by this first screen here. Maybe my other view is different because I have follow selected. I don't know. Yeah, see, I don't see. They were talking about on Discord that there was a way of getting the wallet, but I just don't see it. Anyway, so that is a good point by Cryptoshi Forever. Appreciate that. Good pointing that out. So just remember to be safe. Watch what you're doing. Don't download wallets and install them from unknown or unproven sources. That's like the quickest way to lose all your shit. So don't do that. So what is next for Raven? Let's go to. Oh, I had this up. Maybe I don't. I must have closed that window. Weird. Just a second. All right, so let's talk about what is next for Raven. As far as their roadmap goes, you know, they had the fork. It was kind of thrown at them at a time when they were already working on stuff. So again, I commend them for getting past that fork while also working on a lot of other things. So phase 1's complete. Phase 2, just the assets themselves, that's complete. And if you want to know about assets and what Raven Coin is all about, I do have a lot of videos on Raven, so check those out as well. If you have questions about what's going on with Raven, why it's important, why it's a solid project, I talk about all that. So phase 3 is what they are working on. They're working on rewards. The unique assets is complete, and rewards are to allow, so you know, in Raven you issue assets, or you can issue assets. Like you can look right here, my overview. You know, I've got like a SavageMine asset created. So if I were to send some of these tokens or some of these coins to another user, then I could actually, let's say that I somehow was making SavageMine into a real business, I guess you could say. And some way I was getting profit, like let's say I started GPU hosting or something like that. Okay, so there was some level of income. Well, people could invest, like let's say they invested some way, you know, they bought whatever coins, however many coins, and I issued those coins to them through that asset, through the SavageMine asset, and then there was some profit that needed to be distributed. Then I could do it through Raven Coin itself to those token holders, right? So that is what that particular feature is, the rewards. And there's a lot more on it, obviously, over here. So then they got unique assets, and that's the one that only costs 5 Raven, and it's the one that you would use for a specific, you know, object in the real world, or it could be in the real world, but they talk about games and things like that on here too. My example was a use case scenario of GPU hosting, actually. Right here, I've got video. Actually, that's not it. That's a different use case for art. There's no use case. It's in there. It's in that in that playlist somewhere. Yeah, it's like use case part 3B. I think this is the best one that covers the unique asset use case and how there's something that's going on with me that I could actually use this with those shared rigs that we talked about over here. Oh wow, but they're both off. Something happened. So see, now I'm gonna have to stop and go troubleshoot, figure out what's going on with them. Anyway, I don't have to stop the stream. I'm just kidding. I can wait. But they're mining at a loss anyway, so right now I'm actually gaining money. I'm actually not losing as much right now. All right, it's funny but not funny. Let's see. So that's unique assets. Basically, in that use case, I described, a person wanting me to host a GPU for them, and me assigning a unique asset to that GPU, and then that's the way that I could distribute any profits that that particular GPU made. And another thing that they have is, on top of that, is messaging and voting. And these are things that they are working on. Although I think that these are actually not being worked on right this second. I think that they're working on, what was it? It was some other types of assets, restricted assets, and what's the other thing that they were working on? Restricted assets, and maybe it was rewards. I don't know. I'm forgetting. I don't have it written down, so I'm forgetting what it was. Anyway, so messaging and voting kind of go hand in hand. Like in the case of my use case scenario that I brought up over here, I would use it because in our case we have multiple owners of a single rig, and we kind of have to decide as a group what we are going to mine. So it's kind of like a voting situation. So it would be cool to use the Raven network for that purpose. Like I would send out a token that says, hey, it's time to vote to find out what we're going to be mining this month. And then based on how many tokens that person holds, you can kind of divvy up the votes and figure it out and do it, democratically in the right way and all that stuff. So it's kind of neat. That's a super cool feature. And then also so that would be on the messaging side. So you would message your token holders and say we need to do a vote, and then the voting is another capability that they're working on. So that is cool stuff for Raven. I wish I could remember what it is. It's restricted assets and something else. I just can't remember it for some reason. So they're also working on, or they will be working on, compatibility mode. And compatibility mode is for basically allowing the assets that you create on the Raven Coin network, to be able to be added to exchanges. So it's like it's a capability that they're enabling so that an exchange could actually host and support your particular token. So in the case of SavageMine, they could, with compatibility mode enabled and that feature available, then an exchange could use or could support the SavageMine token being traded on their platform, right? So that's a great capability as well. Looks like they're doing some stuff possibly with mobile wallet and Seed, be able to maybe access the same wallet. Maybe that's what it's talking about. From desktop and mobile. What are y'all talking about over here? Let's see. What's up, Bitcoin Jake? Yeah, Shuby, I put quite a bit of Fireball in that cup. I don't know. I mean, if I was to like show you like a level, I would say that I fill it up to here, but probably about like right here is sweet tea, and then probably from there to there is probably Fireball. Somewhere around in there. Something like it's quite a bit. It's more than one shot per cup, I would say. It's probably, I'm imagining myself pouring it now. It's probably 2 shots, at least 2 shots per cup, like that. Yeah. Am I still mining Raven on Raven Miner? I believe so. No, I should know that, but I mess with stuff so much that sometimes I forget. Yeah, Raven Miner. Shuby, what are we talking about here? Ready for an ETC tip for some Fireball. So you're gonna tip me? And then I've got to, what have I got to do? I got to do a shot? Is that what the deal is? So I got to go get my shot glass? Man, I wish I could remember what they're working on. This is driving me crazy. It's restricted assets and something that go kind of together. Can anybody remember that? Oh man, Shuby, killing me. So as soon as I got up from my seat and I was going, I remembered what it was. It's restricted assets and tags. Those are the two things that they're working on right now. All right, so I think that's what they're going to implement next. I'm not going to be able to see it. See if I can do this without spilling anything. Yikes. That was close. I'm not good at drinking. I'll be honest with you. I'm really awful at it. That's a huge. Can I take a little bit off of it before I actually do it? Yikes! Woo! Alright. I didn't swap it or anything. This is why I mix it. It's harsh. I mean, it tastes good though. It's sweet. It's been a while since I've done a shot, because normally I do the mixing thing with sweet tea. All right, and I'll chase it. I'm lightweight. Okay, I don't have anything up, Shuby, that I can like verify it. I don't. And if you send it to that address, I think that's. Let me see. See if I remember. Just, I mean, you'll be able to tell me if it goes through or not, so it's all good. I appreciate the tip, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, I don't know about that. I gotta be careful here. Whew. All right, what else are we talking about? Let's see. That's what's going on with Raven. I think that's pretty much it. Really anxious to see where this goes, what's going to happen with the, after a month of being off of basics, after the fork and all that. I'm really looking forward to see what we are going to see the value go to, because for many months now it's been suppressed by the the constant dumping of Raven on the network, on the exchanges, by the ASIC companies, right, or the ASIC farms to pay their bills and whatnot. So one of the things that is cool about that's super cool about the Raven fork is, and you kind of see that in SavageMine, there was like a little bump, right? There was several projects, and I mentioned this last night too. There were several projects that actually started, like Zcoin, Veil, and there was one other one that was hanging around the top there for a while. with Ravencoin, you know, that kind of got a pretty good little bump from the fork, and I don't know if it was just because they were proof of work projects and maybe people started looking at them a little bit closer after the fork. I don't know, you know. Bell was the weird one because it was almost simultaneously that they went up together. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I haven't thought about it a lot, but I guess that the fork meant more to other projects as well. You know, somehow it affected them. I mean, it wouldn't be the same ASICs because, you know, it's a different algorithm and stuff. So it was kind of maybe it was on the FPGA side. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I haven't looked at like the network hash rate or anything like that, whether or not it dropped for these other projects. I don't know. Can't speculate on all that. But yeah, I mean, just what was it, last summer? It's kind of frustrating to look at this because last summer these numbers for like this rig were $6 a day, I think, $6 or $7 a day, and on these AMD rigs, we were mining Ethereum Classic last summer, and this is kind of cool to point out. Even Ravencoin on RX 580s is actually towards the top, so that's kind of neat to see that. You know, usually X16R is not anywhere near the top for AMD, so kind of neat. But anyway, so we were mining Ethereum Classic at the end of last summer and in the fall, and if I remember right, we were at about $10 a day. Shubi, you would probably be able to tell us this, being our Ethereum Classic expert here, but I'm pretty sure that that's right. An 8 GPU rig last summer or fall on Ethereum Classic was probably getting about $10 a day, if I remember right. So throw into the chat over there whether or not that sounds accurate or not. I think that's pretty close. But let me know. I might be I might be having a false memory here, but I think that's true. So point being, that's another one of those drinking game words. Point being, or phrases. So that's another one. Yeah, this looks. I mean, it looks awful. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But anyway, that shot is kicking in big time right now. All right, let's get back to the topics here. So I want to talk about Rio a little bit. They have, let's see here. So they have a new interface, and I think Rio RU, right? He's involved with Rio on the. He's you know, inner circle. He put out I don't know if it was in Discord or tweet, probably both, about this new official mining pool for Rio. Pretty cool. Common interface to some degree, but I do like it. So if you are mining Rio, then they have a new interface here for the pool. I do like it. I think it's cool. Haven't mined Rio in a little bit because there's been some other. This is part of the problem of having only a few rigs, right? You know, like actually I'm mining Rio on AMD, but it makes me want to have like a dozen rigs. You know, I mean, my power here at the house can't support that, but you know, because I have all these different little projects that I would love to support. You know, and it's hard whenever you only have a few rigs. But you know, you got to look at the overall profitability and stuff, and it's just not, at this point, it's just not worth it. So I think I have right now. I kind of have the perfect amount because I'm able to do live streams and cover stuff. I've got NVIDIA, I've got AMD. Although I probably, you know, I have a little bit older equipment. You know, I have 10 series in this NVIDIA rig. They're still relevant, still do pretty well, but you know, maybe I should upgrade to some 1660s probably. And on the AMD side, it would be really nice to get some 5700 XTs, but they're like 400 bucks each, you know. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but you know, it's still. I think the RX 580s are still relevant. I think that people that are getting into mining are actually buying them because they are so cheap right now, and they're pretty decent. You know, break-even points and stuff like that for the most part. It's not awful, but you know, again, everything is awful right now on the mining scene, the GPU mining scene. I mean, whenever you see $1 a day for a 8 GPU rig, that's not good. That's not good at all. But I'm getting totally off topic here. So anyway, check out if you mine Rio, check out their official mining pool. I think that's where I'm. Let's go find out. Let's see. I don't even know if that's where I'm mining Rio at. Let's go check it out. This will be fun. I'm actually on Miner Rocks. So let's yeah, let's change it. Let's go to the official pool here. Man, let me tell you, that shot is kicking in like crazy. Good grief. See if okay, so this is the official. That's probably going to pre-fill all our info here. So it's using the variable. All right, so that's cool. So that'll probably get us changed over pretty easily. Pool.riocurrency.com. Let me just double check that. Looks good to me. All right, so this will be cool. Swapping over to the official pool. I like that. Thanks so much to you guys hanging out. This is cool. I dig this. Fun little Friday. Fireball Friday. All right, so let's go check out and see if things are going to work here. Looks like it is. Clean up the mess. Go to and get the actual wallet address, and we'll go and check out the pool and see if things are going well. So it's already talking, everything's good. And this is the way that this works on most pools is once you submit a one successful share, then you're I'm never going to be able to say this word. I'm telling you, statistics are kicking in, and you will be able to see what's going on with your miner on here. So that's cool. Not going to do that live. They'll reveal my IP. So I'm just going to wait for that. But you could go in here and set up your minimum payout levels. Looks like the default is 10. And I want to say it was HashRaptor that was talking about setting that to a really high amount so that you have less, transactions into the wallet, which makes total sense. Like you would adjust it out to where you would get one payout a month. But if you do that, you have to really trust that pool, to not close down in that month, because you would hate to mine to it for a month and then have something weird happen and not be able to get a payout before the pool closed or whatever. There's a whole host of information or a whole host of things that could happen. So what I would say is maybe I think I like to go with maybe a week. It makes accounting a little bit easier. If you're looking at being legit and doing the whole taxes thing and all that, it just makes things a little bit easier if you don't have a constant flow of three Rio every 20 minutes or whatever. I don't know how this is. Let's see. Probably on here they'll talk about how often the payouts are. Yeah, so like 0.5 current payout estimate. Oh, that's the estimate. So I don't know where it shows what the payout amount, or what the minimum payout amount is. Actually, we just saw it was 10, right? So I think that's the default. So that might be as short as half an hour, an hour. So if you were getting 24 payouts a day, then that's harder to account for if you're doing the whole taxes and legit stuff, So his point was HashRaptor. I think it was HashRaptor. His point was, set those values, the payout values, to a lot higher, so that you get less payouts, so that it's just easier to keep track of. And I tend to agree with that. I wouldn't do a month. I would probably, unless I really trusted the pool, I would probably do a week. And you can just estimate it. Obviously, you're not going to hit it perfectly. You can't say, I don't think that the pools allow you to say one payout per week. It doesn't work like that. It's based on the amount, right? So you would have to say, okay, it looks like I'm earning, 50 Rio a day, whatever it is. So then you just plan that out, for a week or a month, however you want to do it. But all this means, it looks like it's updating in real time, which is nice. And this means that it's talking and everything's going well. I'm digging it. And the hash rate isn't going to be accurate at first. I think it takes a while for things to settle down and get to the right hash rate amount, which looks like here it's saying 7.4, and on the pool it was saying a lot less right now, but it takes a while for that to level out. Don't freak out. I would let it go for several hours before you start saying that something's wrong, right? Shubi, are you using simple mining or HiveOS? We can look at it. Or Windows, or what are you using? Oh, this says I'm already paid 20 Rio. That's funny. Already. Yeah, so this is a nice looking pool. I like this. So you want to try to mine ETC on, okay, using Claymore on Windows 10. Let me finish up with what I was going to say about Rio, and then we'll go there. So the next thing, or what's going on with Rio, the next big thing I believe is going to be mobile wallets. I think that's what the next thing that they're working on is. So that's what we're kind of waiting on. I want to say that they are trying to time it with, no, that was a swap. Oh, I totally skipped over swap. That's crazy. All right, let me go back a little bit here. So yeah, I kind of jumped into Rio and I actually skipped over swap. Swap's super fast though, because they just have, what's going on over there is they have their own mining pool, you know, kind of like their official pool. And they used to really promote their, what they call it, the micro pool, the pool that you ran on your own machine and mine to it. And they kind of transitioned over into this because there are some costs, obviously, not obviously, but there are some, if you're not familiar, there's some costs sometimes associated with listing on exchanges, and sometimes it can either make or break a project, right? So, you know, you want to have at least a little bit. Swap is about no fees, no pre-mine, no BS, right? That's their tagline. And because of that, it kind of hurts them on the exchange listing side because they don't raise funds for that specific purpose, right? So they kind of transitioned away from, not necessarily away from micropool, they still have it, but they kind of want you to use their official pool here because it has a little 1% fee, and with that they are going to use it, you know, for potential exchange listings and things like that. That's a drinking game phrase right there, things like that. And they are going to look at mobile wallets. I think that they have some things already working, but they're going to time the release of mobile wallets and possibly some exchange listings and things like that. So that's another drinking game phrase, things like that. So that's another one. Oh yeah, I have a bunch of them. All right. Let's see. So yeah, if you're mining swap, make sure that you're, I mean, in my opinion, I would always use the official pool. I try to use the official pools because a lot of times you're supporting the project itself, you know, with the small amount of fees or whatever the project is. If they have an official pool, it's usually the one I will gravitate to. Not always, but most of the time, that's the way I do it. Because I like, if it is the official pool, then I like supporting the project, then I will use that pool, or I'll try to. So that's what's going on with swap. I have a small note over there, so that's why I kind of skipped over it. I just went right to Rio. All right, so let's look at, get over here. I don't use, oh man, I forgot these rigs are down. Let me go reboot these. Let me hard power cycle them. I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Shubi, has that ever worked? I mean, this specific setup that you have now? And what version of Claymore are you using? Alright, let's see here. Hopefully these rigs start talking. Okay, so that one came up. Bottom one's still not talking, it looks like. Give me just a second. I'm trying to acquire an address for Ethereum Classic so I can walk through this. They kind of change stuff around on me in Coinbase here. Figured that would be the easiest to use. I think I actually have that on my, let me see if I have that on my computer already here. Let's see. We'll just use that one. You said Nanopool. What's up, GMR? Now I would only be able to do this on simple mining, but you can see at least see what the screen is going to be, I guess. But I think that you already have that under control, so seems like maybe with that error that you're talking about, maybe like a driver. Seems like you're having a driver issue. What AMD drivers are you using? Okay, so simple mining works great, but not Windows. Yeah, I would start looking at like AMD drivers for sure. I would match up your driver version with what you're using on simple mining. Whatever version, probably, I think you can get that from Great List, and then come in here and look. I think it has it on here, 1910, and then I think that's all you can do. Yeah, like this rig has, oh, you know what? That might be my problem actually. 1820 here and 1910 on the other one. Maybe I need to go to 1820 on this one as well. And that might fix that little weird display problem I'm having. Yeah, I would be careful with going to the latest AMD drivers. I would always choose the ones that work because the latest ones typically don't work. So I would, honestly, I would probably go with 1820. I would make sure that they're 1820, and then that's where I would go with. I would look on your simple mining though and see what it says right here for the version. Okay, so that's Windows 1993. Yeah, I'd probably go with 1820. Or whatever the equivalent is for Windows. I don't know what it would be. I don't do any Windows mining at all, so. So I don't really have much else to cover. I don't know what y'all want to talk about. Covered everything I wanted to. Anything else y'all want to look at or talk about? Let me know. Shuby, what kind of shot are you doing? You can only be doing fireball shots on Fireball Friday. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up here a little bit, I think. Let me do some shout outs real quick. You got Crypto Wendy O. She does technical analysis. You should really check out her channel if you are interested in that type of thing. She does some really cool breakdowns, and she does this also really cool thing where I think it's on Sundays, she'll put out a tweet that is like a poll for, hey, you know, what would you like to see me chart for the week, right? So, you know, you get to put in your input, and she'll choose like the top 3, and then she'll chart them that week, which is really cool. So if you've got like a smaller project, I think we've tried to get her to do Rio, and I want to say I tried to get her to do swap one time. I don't think that worked out very well, but she trades Raven some, so that one was, she's done Raven quite a bit. Yeah, I think that's, as far as the ones that I'm looking at, I think that's about it. But yeah, she does a great job, super smart, wicked smart, and all that stuff. She's yeah, she's pretty cool. Does lots of interviews, lots of events, things like that. So check out her channel if you are interested in technical analysis. And she also follow her on Twitter as well. She's got a lot going on over there also. So do that. And then you got Crypto Nuffy. He does a lot of cool stuff, reviews and everything to do with mining. He's got like the Miner's Life, I think, video series or something like, yeah, Life of a Crypto Miner #6. So yeah, he does a lot of that kind of stuff, really cool. So follow him as well, or subscribe to his channel as well. Check him out. And then Crypto Mikkel, he's doing pretty well. I would check him out as well. He does reviews. He was doing a lot on the Ravencoin stuff, which is cool. Yeah, cool stuff over there. So check his channel out also. And of course, you would go with Red Panda Mining. I'm not even going to bring up his channel because, you know, he's got enough subscribers already. And then you got Brandon Coin, same thing, and Boss Coin, same thing. They have plenty. They don't need a bump. So they're great channels also. So check those out. Well, Shuby, you can't do a shot of Budweiser. Come on. What is that all about? All right, so we're coming up on 2 hours. That is way long enough for me. I'm going to get out of here and go do some other stuff. So thanks so much for everybody hanging out. This has been really cool. Cool little get together. Nice little Fireball Friday. I think this is kind of cool. We'll probably continue to do this for a while. As long as you guys keep showing up, I'll keep doing this and we'll just go from there. So I think that's it. I will see you guys next time. I probably won't be streaming any this weekend. It'll probably be Monday, but you never know. If I come up with something, or if I have time or something, maybe I'll hit the go live button and just start, you know, chatting about stuff. So we'll see, but probably not. I would say that this weekend I won't be doing any streaming. So the next time I'll see you is probably Monday, and it'll be probably the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So see y'all then. Stay savage. If I can hit this button, let's see.